Cook is busy doing his work, and that's when he heard someone knock his door, making him said, "Come in." He said, making the other one came towards his desk. That's when he saw his secretary holding one invitation card. "Whose card is this?" he asked while taking the card, which his secretary placed on his desk. "It's from Mrs. Min," he said, making Jungkook leave the card, stopping himself to open it and focused on his work. "It's her anniversary invitation. I don't care anyways, but you should go, Jungkook." "I don't want to go, and that's it." Mrs. Min helped this company when it's in the worst phase, and your father must be unhappy if he got to know that you were disinterested to go. "You know what, uncle? I heard her about my wine that she's and all at my marriage. I don't want to make a scene there. That's why I let it go that time. And if you say those words again, I won't even think about." "Then you can only go. Don't take wine with you." "Are you kidding me, uncle? Seriously? You want me to not take my wine just because she will say something to my wine? I want you to not. I just don't want you to get in trouble with her. And you should go since she hold high shares after you." "Yes, it's after me. I said what I should have to, and the rest, it's your decision. I will go, only this time." "Jungkook, you're late. And when did you get ready for the party? And I'm so excited to come tonight with you to that party," she said while wrapping her hand with him. And when his gaze turned towards the table, and that's when he saw the invitation. And by looking at that, don't know what to say, but he surely don't want to take you to party too. Jungkook Pop. Now what should I tell her? If she came and listened to Mrs. Min's words, she would be hurt. Even I'm gonna party, but she would feel. He's thinking all these on how to stop her from coming, but someone is looking at them with and came towards them and said, "Ryan Hart." "Just say it, bro. Why feel hesitate to tell her? It's nothing, Ryan. As you know, since you are, so he's not taking you to get embarrassed." Sarah. Sarah rolled her eyes and said, "Whatever, I have kitty party. Bye." She said and went from there with zero regret of what she said, making Jungkook looked at her older sister, not knowing that Ryan is looking at him. Is that true?" she asked with making Jungkook looked at her. But when he looked at her, his face became heavy looking at her, but he kept quiet. "Do you feel about me?" she asked, but he didn't say anything. "Then why did I ask you to?" "Ryan, then just go and leave me," she said and ran towards her room while controlling her. While looking at Ryan ran towards her room, Jungkook just stood there feeling, and he didn't expect it to be turned out like this. I will do everything to never made it think like that. With that, Jungkook called his secretary to implement his plan. "Yes, sir. Did you want to? Tomorrow there's a party at my home. Make sure everyone should come. Tell them it's an order from me," he said to his secretary in a demanding voice. By listening to Jungkook's voice, secretary didn't dare to ask anything further, but just said, "Sure, I'll make everyone will present for tomorrow party." Jungkook made his way towards his shared bedroom, but when he heard soft, his eyes caught. With that, he opened the door where Ryan laid on the bed. And when she heard door open sound, she stopped since she don't want to appear in front of him, and she decided to not again. "Ryan," he called, but she didn't speak, making him sigh and called her again. "I know, Ryan, you're not sleeping," he said, making Ryan roll her eyes, but just decided to not talk to him. "Ryan, don't worry, I won't stick to you lifelong, and just leave me alone. I won't talk with me." "How can you say that, Ryan?" he asked with feeling because of her words. "Just why you even want to be with me when you feel suffocated?" "Did I said that? But you didn't deny though," she said while waking up from her sleeping position and showed her. "I'm sorry, Ryan. Trust me. I never felt like that way, and never can ever I will feel like that," he said, making Ryan feel a little happy, but she didn't show it and said, "I'm sleepy and don't talk to me." With the jungkook laid on the bed beside her, and when he lay beside of her, she moved herself and him away to the very corner of the bed, making him look at her most. Just wait for tomorrow and everything will be alright. And getting no response from Ryan, he sighed and looked at her back all night, making sure whether she's sleeping or. But when he heard her snores after 2 to 3 hours of the silence, he chuckled. You don't know, I'm for you. Said while looking at her with lots of love hiding in his orbs for her. And then he looked at her and said, I'll still remember how we met our marriage day, making me forget the people around me, and it's just as innocent eyes looking at me. He patted your head with lots of love and just wait for tomorrow. I'm gonna take from that Mrs. Smith and everyone for calling you at our marriage, and you have forgotten how much I loved you. Wine woke up because of the sounds coming from downstairs. With that, she went outside of the door to check and got surprised that everyone is decorating the hall room, making her raise her eyebrows and asked one of the maid passing her. Kia? Yes, ma'am. May I know what's happening here? She asked and looked at her amused face after she asked that question. Ma'am, you don't know? There's a party happening and it will be started anytime soon, and the guests are coming one by one. She said, making Wine looked at the people coming and gathering at hall room, and when her gaze fell on Jungkook, she quickly turned her gaze and went inside her room. Making Jungkook sighed and took the mic in his hand and stood at center with people looking at him. Well, the reason for this party is that I want to confess something, and thanks for the one who came here even I didn't attend the party. Though, he said while looking at Mrs. Smith, who was fake smiling from the start. She stepped in. He said while slightly looking at Mrs. Smith, who stopped and looked at him, making him chuckle and continue. Well, I didn't call you guys for this anyways. Some people call my wife with names. So I'm here to tell you my real love story. He said, making Ryan heart skip a bit listening to his words. Love story? Did he love me? So my love story started in a business party where my honey came for her friend birthday party. I loved everything about her, like how the way she smiles and the way she respects the elders and the way she got shy when someone praised her, and I found myself looking at her that she did observe. And when I got to know her name is Ryan and about her parents and all, I immediately went towards her father to talk about my marriage. Since I got to know she likes arranged marriages, so I didn't approach her first. And guess what? Her father didn't accept me anyways at first. And after pleading him multiple times, he finally accepted. And I don't know how excited I was standing and waiting for Ryan to come to the wedding hall. And when I saw her coming, I just can't control myself from blushing. And I know she didn't even notice it, and no one else could. Because she's the one whom I have had eyes from the start. Mine is filled with tears of joy listening to Jungkook words. And without next thought, she ran from her room towards him, but I made her yesterday. And by looking at her like that, I can't even sleep the whole night and just spend my day looking at Ryan. His word got stopped when a pair of hands wrapped around his. When he looked at the hands, he finally smiled and said, and in the world full of stars, she's my entire star, said while turning towards her. I love you, he said and again hugged her more tightly than before, making the crowd scream while cheering them from the start without knowing. And now you're gonna every single second. Said making Reinhardt listening to his confession. And when they pulled off, Sarah finally came towards them and took Wine hands in her. Wine, I thought Chunk is forced in this for business, but when I heard him saying how much he loved you, I guess I'm wrong. I'm sorry for everything. You both are perfect for each other. Just stay like this. You guys could be an example of the loveliest couple ever exist. The crowd said, making Jungkook and looked at Mrs. Smith, who is now ignoring Jungkook, stared at her, and she immediately left the place. Subscribe.